See the world as it is. See yourself as you are. All we well done. When we see more and more discussions about relationships, very often we turn into a form of opposition. Transition against modern values. But the question is, should it really be like this? Transition and modernity were never meant to be in conflict. They are meant to be a continuation and progression. But if something that should be involved ends up becoming a confrontation, then something in between must have gone wrong. And that problem is not just a clash of ideas. At a deeper level, it is actually about the shifting of roles and positions. In the previous part, we saw that when roles become uncertain, cooperation is no longer something that can be taken for granted. But when cooperation begins to weaken, things do not simply stop. Competition does not disappear. It simply changes direction. In reality, society does not move in a straight line. This shift has a structure behind it. Before reaching balance, we often swing between extremes, and right now, we are living inside that swing. In the past, men primarily competed with other men for resources, status, and compatibility. But as a women raised rapidly in education and the workplace, and family roles begin to shift, the sense of competition experienced by men can begin to change. The perceived competitors are no longer only other men. Women themselves may also be seen as competitors. When cooperation begins to feel like competition, relationships are more easily interpreted as power relationships. Under these conditions, some men may attempt to re-establish their position. One way this appears is by emphasizing that man should retain final authority in the household. But this does not necessarily mean a return to traditional family structures, because traditional family systems normally involved authority, responsibility, and clearly defined roles. But maybe emerging now is not a full traditional order, but a renewed struggle over authority itself. So, the real issue raised by this headline may not simply be that young men are becoming more traditional. It may reflect something deeper. When traditional structures of cooperation begin to break down, and a new cooperative model has not yet formed, positions within society begin to be contested again. And when that contest appears between men and women, marriage, which should have been a cooperative structure, can begin to be reinterpreted as a power relationship. So, what is reflected in this phase, a wife should obey her husband, may not simply be traditional itself, but rather a renewed demand for a dominant position under conditions of role instability. In other words, this may not be a full return to tradition, but a moment in which competition for power begins to replace cooperation as the structure becomes unstable. News is only the surface. What truly matters is the structure behind it. And when the structure of cooperation begins to disappear, the issue is no longer simply a gender issue. It slowly becomes a problem of family structure, and beyond that, a problem of wider social structure itself. The truth is, the logic behind all this is not easy to see. Today, we only started to organize what we can already observe. But these patterns affect not just relationships, also how the next generation grows. And why these things became like this. There is still a lot more to unpack. So, in the next part, we'll go deeper together and take a closer look at how these structures were formed. If you want to keep seeing clearly, stay with this channel.